All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to an edition of the Beaver Farmer Cigar Porch Talks. We're out on the porch, not the deck, not the garage. We're going to see how long the light holds out, how long the bugs hold out, and how long one of our two special guests hold out. Ooh, you could have heard him. Do you want to say hello? Say hello.
I don't think I can get your hand up there. Maybe your foot.
Little foot. There you go. Hello. Little man's with us again. 2 videos in a row. And who else do we have? Of course, Homeschooling Mama.
Hello.
Hello. Let's see. What are we smoking? What are we drinking tonight? I'm celebrating, so I decided to break out the Oscar Valdez 2012 box pressed Connecticut cigar. Very super delicious. One of my all-time favoriteest cigars, but only for celebrations, little man, just so you know. You may be asking, what are we celebrating? Well, you're getting ahead of yourself. What are we drinking? Wasn't really special, but it just sounded really cool. And so it's the Nitro Super Delicious, because we're super excited, Irish Stout. Homeschooling Mama, what are you drinking?
I'm actually not sure because you poured it.
It's the same thing you had last night.
Oh, then I'm assuming it's a Kahlua and milk or Kahlua and cream? Kimura?
Kimura and cream with a little bit of chocolate syrup mixed in. I can hand you if you want.
I think you can see the little thing.
Well, you can see it, but do you want to drink it?
Well, when I'm ready for it, I'll have you hand it to me.
Ah,
Bless you, Candy.
that's good. All right. Not bad. So, Homeschooling Mama, why are we shooting a video and celebrating 2 weeks in a row?
2 weeks in a row? What was the last one?
Exchange student.
Oh, were we celebrating or were we just discussing?
Well, you're out here with me, so
Okay.
that's a celebration. Whenever I can get you out into one of my videos.
Well, that's not fair. I come out into your videos whenever I'm not busy. And, whenever the topic warrants it.
So, what are we celebrating?
I believe we're celebrating our achievement this last 4 days.
Yeah, 4 days.
So, Swedish Compass and I went and took a special training.
What is that training?
Have you already done a video
No,
on that? Oh, you haven't?
Nothing. Mm-mm. I think I might have mentioned it, but gone into the detail or explained it, not at all.
Well, we officially finished one doula training.
What is a doula?
And doula is... Actually, interestingly enough, they have different definitions, but in general, a doula is like a birth coach.
Okay.
But actually, apparently, and I didn't know this, like you can be a doula anything, like a doula life coach, you can be a doula anxiety coach, you can, so the same skills that you use for dealing with, postpartum and prenatal and anxiety and labor and delivery even, a lot of those skills you can use to doula just about anybody.
Wow. So you can expand your doula range.
I guess, I don't think, like, that's in general. I don't know that I actually 100% agree with that, idea.
Okay.
I think the skills are definitely something that you can use elsewhere in other areas of life and other aspects. But I don't think I'd say, I'm an anxiety doula, or I don't think that would,
Well,
I don't think there's a call for that. Let's say it that way.
Well, you don't know that for sure. So let's focus on what type of doula you were going for. What's the main doula-esque job? What were you going? What are you? Is you going to do?
As soon
Present
as we
tense.
get emailed our certificates, I guess we are officially Michigan certified doulas for prenatal, labor and delivery, and postpartum.
Postpartum.
It's all 3, technically. There's not a different certification in Michigan for
All 3. Yep.
all 3. They're all one.
So what is this going to consist of? What do you do for these moms to be, moms in the process of, and mom after?
Actually, that depends.
Okay, let's talk about this. I'm curious.
So you can actually do all of your appointments prenatal.
Mm-hmm.
You can do all of your appointments postpartum. And you can be there for labor and delivery. But you don't have to be there for any of them. So you could just be a labor and delivery doula. You don't have to see somebody prenatally or
Interesting.
postpartum. Or you could just be a postpartum doula and you help new moms for the first 6 weeks or so. Or you can just be a prenatal doula that helps through, some of the prenatal stages, maybe even taking clients to the doctor.
So what are you thinking you want to focus in on?
I'm not sure, honestly. Okay. I mean, I like the idea of doing like 3 appointments before the labor and then 3 after. Because I think that after period gets a lot of like, when you have family helping, family wants to do nothing but hold a baby.
Well, I did read on the paperwork you have up to 1 year after the child's birth.
Well, that's interesting because we were figuring it was up to 6 weeks.
Yep, no, it's 1 year. I actually read that on the Michigan paperwork. You have 1 year to do all 6.
Oh, okay. So, but I mean, they're not medically trained, so okay, so you're not supposed to be medically trained necessarily to be a doula, and actually we can't do any medical treatments. So we're not supposed to actually take an assessment sheet in and go through, like, I can't remember the name of the assessment, but does mom have postpartum, and you go through. We're not actually supposed to take those assessments in with us because that implies a medical background and we don't have one. So if we were to have a client who had like a headache or who was experiencing like extreme emotional distress or anxiety or anything like that, we would not like check off one of those, score their points and say, okay, we need to do this or this. It would be okay, I think you should contact your provider, or do you want me to take you to your provider, or that sort of thing.
Interesting. So you wouldn't find them to be potentially having postpartum depression. You'd just be like, yeah, there's red flags here, time to go see the doctor.
Yeah, we actually should not use a specific assessment tool. So, like, I think it would be good to have an assessment tool, like, to see and look and, okay, these are the red flags. But we wouldn't actually go into an appointment with an assessment tool and start checking boxes.
Okay.
It would be more of okay, I see this, and this. Let me recommend you go to the doctor or call or whatever.
Gotcha. So, but this is something you're going to pursue as a business, I hear. That's the rumor.
Well, Swedish Compass completed the class with me. She was a little, I think, overwhelmed at some of the information.
It was a little overwhelming.
I think her goal is more postpartum doula stuff. Which, postpartum stuff can be anything from holding a baby for an hour so the mom can go take a shower, or washing a stack of dishes, or bringing a meal, or like any of that can actually be classified as postpartum doula care.
Okay.
Bless you. So, so the postpartum care does not actually have to be like, it can be almost anything. It can be folding laundry or starting, cleaning up, tidying somebody's house, or holding the baby, changing the baby, giving the baby a bath. Any of that stuff could be postpartum care. But usually a doula's focus is actually on mom, because moms are the ones that are often forgotten or left out.
Okay. So have you and Swedish Compass started to like think through your business model?
No. Well, I mean, a little. We've talked about names and stuff. I don't think she knows what she wants to do, and I think a lot of it she's not confident enough to do yet. I think she's going to want to finish the other doula program we've been working through slowly.
Now maybe we should explain the 2 different doula programs. So there's the one you were doing, which was
the Catholic doula program through Julie Larson. She's a nationally recognized doula trainer for Catholics, but she does just basic Christian care, like Christian stuff as well. Her program is very in-depth. It's more like, I would say 8 to 12 hours of lecture alone. Not to mention quizzes, tests, and clinical studies and stuff like that. So you get a lot more, I don't want to say practical because it's not physically practical experience, but practical as in knowledge.
Actionable items.
Yeah, knowledge practical. Like I think we have to read 7 or 8 books through the course and stuff like that, which I think will help Swedish Compass. I think for me that's a little tedious because I already have experienced it so many times that I kind of know this stuff. And
Right. You've been down that railroad track.
so I don't
shall we
really
say.
need some of the information where I think Swedish Compass does.
Yeah. And now, what was the one? So now, that's not the one you got certified in, though.
No, not yet.
So what's the one you got certified in?
The one we finished this week was community doula certification. And it's basically, the idea is to train doulas who actually live in given communities, so you're not having people go away to a doula to somebody who's not like from that community and familiar with the community and familiar with the resources and the culture of that community. So the idea is they already know a good amount of the culture, they already know a good amount of what's available in your community as far as resources for new moms or pregnant moms, and then they can provide doula services.
Oh, gotcha.
And ours was focused on indigenous communities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we learned a lot about indigenous culture.
Good.
Our personal indigenous culture, because it was our tribes
Yeah,
specifically,
tribes.
but
Specific. Very good. But still good information you can use for non-tribal members.
yeah, there was a lot of practical. We did, learn about like birthing balls and different holds and different movements and how to move somebody, which is interesting. You learn how to move somebody, but from my understanding, if you're helping deliver in a hospital, you're not allowed to move the patient.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be the nurse coming in and doing that, from my understanding. Now, after being in the hospital, I know the nurses are kind of short-handed quite often, and it is often the labor partner who does a lot of the legwork, but
Yeah.
so yeah. And they did present information. Like Swedish Compass and I were talking about it, and one of the big things they stressed is that, and this is the indigenous influence, I'm sure, but that birth shouldn't be treated as a medical event. It should be treated as a life ceremony.
Interesting.
Because it's a ceremony of the beginning of life, and like that baby should be introduced into life as a ceremony, not as a sterile medical procedure, unless medically indicated. But
Gotcha. So the messier, the better is what you're saying. That's
no, actually, the more relaxed, calm, and quiet, the better. So no more blazing lights in the hospital room, keeping it calm, using candles or scented things, and like the idea is to relax, which is not unusual. Like that holistic kind of relaxed labor birth, that's kind of been pushed through, well, honestly, in the Catholic doula program too, but kind of like just nationally, like there's a big push to get away from the sterile nurse only kind of environment.
interesting.
So yeah, but I'd never heard birth described as a ceremony. I thought that was interesting.
Now, did you have a doula during any of your deliveries?
No, but there were none available
Yeah,
anyway.
there's none available.
None that I know of. And if I had to say that there was one failure of the class, it was not very informative on how to bill insurances, like the business side of things.
So some background to catch people up. Michigan last year passed a executive order instructing insurances in Michigan that they had to pay for doula services, because there was a study done and found that doula services, especially in underrepresented communities, increased the success of birth and decreased
Maternal infant mortality.
yeah, maternal infant mortalities. Again, a lot of it is having someone who can come check in with mom more than, and it's not a doctor's appointment. It's someone who's supposed to build a relationship.
Well, and usually it's at home. It's home visits.
It's home visits or
And
personal settings.
Yeah, so you can see more needs usually if you go to somebody's home than if they're coming to your office.
Yeah.
But also it's to advocate for moms who are kind of underrepresented and ignored. That's the idea.
See, I'd like to see the training, but I don't think anyone would contract with me as their doula.
I really doubt anybody
Yeah.
would contract you as a doula.
I mean, at least I'd sit there and smoke a cigar with Dad afterwards. But it's really sad because out of all of us, I'm the one who does the best in delivery because I understand the medical.
Yes, but that's also part of the problem and what they don't want doulas to do. They don't want doulas to step in the medical role.
Oh, I
they
wouldn't
want
step
doulas
in.
to
It's
stay
more.
back and be the support role.
Yeah, it's more. I'm a little
Which is-
nervous. Swedish Compass is going to pass out the first time she sees a baby pop out of a woman.
It's curious because actually a lot of it is supporting the mom to like make her own decisions and advocate for herself, but also supporting the other support partners. So obviously if there's nobody else, you do a lot of the like labor care, like massage or whatever, or helping the person walk or whatnot. But if dad or another person is present, then you're showing them how to do it and like basically teaching them how to be there for their partner.
Okay.
Which the whole point is a lot of the methods that you use for delivery can be used prenatally and postnatal or postpartum to like ease discomfort and calm and soothe. So if you're training the person, the partner during labor, then they can then take that information and help better or help more during the postpartum period.
Gotcha.
So
Well, that's gonna be fun.
yeah, very interesting. I mean, I said a long time ago I didn't ever wanted to step back into a labor and delivery room. I think I said that 8 years ago, and then 6 years ago, and 4 months ago. So I'm not sure how much I'm going to enjoy labor and deliveries.
See, that's what'd be fun if you did.
But if I'm not the one having to go through it, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. And I've had so many bad experiences that I can see the red flags
Right.
to advocate for.
See, that's too bad that it'd work out nice if you did prenatal, I did hospital delivery, and then Swedish Compass did postpartum. Like, that would be a good combination there. But as we talked about, I don't think many moms would want
Another male in the
another
delivery
male
room,
in
no.
the delivery room.
Well, and interestingly enough, what was I gonna say? Oh, I don't remember where I was going with that right now. Like there's no like limit on when the appointments can be. So you can do them very, very early prenatal. You can do them very late prenatal. You can go to doctor's appointments with the client. You can just not go to appointments. I mean,
Yeah, you can do telehealth. You can
yeah.
do.
So, and it can be 4 appointments before and 2 after. It can be 3 and 3. It can be 2 and 4. And you don't have to be there for the labor, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
That's not actually a requirement to be the doula. And I think I do see Swedish Compass being a little more like preferring the before or the after. Probably the before, actually, in her case. But yeah, so I do feel like there were some things that were sorely missing in the training, which didn't affect me because, well, I have a lot of experience with most of those, like different breastfeeding positions and stuff like that. But basically, what the theme was is if you want more information, study it, take like other classes to build on it, to get certified in other areas, and go with that. So
Yeah, it's time to give Swedish Compass out of that whole book on labor and delivery, pre-hospital care, so at least she could knows what could possibly happen.
well, we have actually a textbook from the Catholic doula program all about it. A very detailed, very clear,
Very good.
So she does have one. I don't think she's read it yet, but she does have one.
Yeah. How's the drink?
It's good. I think I let them ice melt a little bit,
Oh no.
so it's kind of watery on top.
Water on top. Next time I do a shaken, not stirred.
Right.
I literally did shake that one, or stir that one instead of shaking it. That was actual literalness.
I'll let you put it back down though, because that kind of hurt to stretch over.
That looked like that hurt. Oops.
So yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be very interesting. I think the biggest hurdle for Swedish Compass to get over is the fact that she is so young.
Mm-hmm.
And her goal, because we talked about this a little bit, and she gets pretty disgusted with the way people treat teen moms in our area. And she felt that that was wrong and that they should be, people shouldn't be looking at them with a critical eye when they're pregnant or when they have a little baby. And so actually, that's why she wanted to be a doula.
Interesting.
And she's never mentioned that to me before, but she's like, it's just really, really terrible to me when you go to the library, when you go to she's like, even the ones that come into work, she's like, they get, like other customers give them bad looks and seem to be judging them, and even people at church, like at other churches, they seem to judge them, and I don't, she doesn't want that to happen, so she wants them to feel comfortable, and I could see a teen mom being more comfortable with a teen doula than a doula who's 45, 50 years old, and she is not the only doula that doesn't have a child that was in the class.
Interesting.
So there were actually 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 others in our class that don't have children. There's a couple that are kind of going for medical training, and this was kind of like
a prelude.
Yeah, kind of like a stretch to see if they wanted to go into like becoming an OB nurse versus a different kind of nurse kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the women there was actually an OB nurse.
Makes sense.
Who may have been there when our wild child was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, it was definitely informative and interesting. I do feel like we missed out on some information. Swedish Compass actually called out the instructor at the end.
Good.
Like, I have all this information now, but I don't know what to do with it. Like, I don't know where to take it from here to actually, meeting people and being able to help others. Like, how I go from here to that, like, actually finding clients or making this into
Luckily,
a business.
you for farmers pretty good with that.
Well, and honestly, the whole idea in the indigenous community is essentially like this should be like the aunties. This should be like like every native woman should be trained as a doula so that they can support any young moms or new moms around them. Mm-hmm. So the idea in the community training was not necessarily to do this as a business, but to learn the skills to do it as a community member. So, and to learn a little bit more about the culture. I didn't know that there's a birth fire, that the fathers are supposed to maintain the birth fire.
Yeah, it's called a cigar. It's right here.
Cute.
I'll keep it going.
So that was interesting, and I did not know that if you're native and you go into the hospital and you say you want to light a candle or smudge, they can't legally stop you.
They should be able to. That's explosive.
I did not know that. So unless you have active going oxygen in the room, they're not supposed to be able to allow you because it's freedom of religion and something else. So I was like, they actually have the codes listed, like not the codes, but the like law listed. I was like, that's
I would like to see
interesting.
That one,
like, I don't know how I feel about that because, yeah, okay, smudging, nice and all. But the smoke in and of itself, like, makes my eyes burn and makes me cough. And now maybe other people that's soothing, like the smoke is soothing, but for me it definitely wouldn't be. But I guess there's a couple of, and now this makes sense in the location, but I guess there's a couple of hospitals and health centers in like Minnesota and Dakota and the Dakotas that actually have like lodges outside for the fire, for the dads to keep the fire, and they have fire keepers who come to the hospital to start the fires, and they have special ventilation in the rooms for smudging and stuff. And so essentially you have your smudge area, almost like a I would imagine almost like an altar, and there's ventilation above it to like make sure that it doesn't
Blow up the hospital.
yeah. So I was like, well, that's interesting. I mean, I can't see that ever happening in one of our hospitals here in our small areas.
Oh, this is the area that happened in though for.
If one of the tribes put in that effort to make that happen, but in my experience, the hospitals were not very supportive of Native culture. So, and I've delivered at 3. I can't think of one that was supportive of Native culture.
Yeah.
I mean,
one of the Sioux should have been.
The one in the Sioux should have been, but it definitely was like
No,
they were prejudiced.
I think Ishming would have found a way if you had requested it.
I think Ishmael might have. They were really, really good.
Yeah.
The one here, I think the one here is just incompetent in several ways. So I don't think they would have not done it because of a personal like prejudice, but not knowing how to do any of that. So
Well, they're the smallest one we've ever delivered at. So
I think they're one of the smallest in the whole area, honestly. So, and they outsource so much. The fact that they outsource their NICU is weird. Like, and they don't outsource it to the local hospital. They outsource it to a different state.
yeah.
That's a little like, huh? But I mean, I guess I like the idea that they have instant access to a NICU doctor, and that I mean, it's faster because they can fly you out, so it's faster than the waiting for the NICU ambulance to get down here and go back up.
It's true.
So, I mean, I can see the benefits. It just is weird to me.
Also true.
So yeah, I'm optimistic of it. I did feel like Swedish Compass kind of got a little like confused, and I'm sure so did the other women who have no experience with babies, because like, there was a whole nursing section or breastfeeding section, and it was so like there was no like here's this hold, here's this hold, here's this hold. There was no guidance whatsoever. It was hey just pair up in groups and discuss it. And I'm like, that's not good.
You didn't offer little man and you as a model or an example.
No, but I did get called out because one of the other moms there did have a baby with her. Baby was like 5 weeks old, so very, very little one. And still under 8 pounds, I would say. So in comparison, very, very tiny compared to this guy. So not even as big as he was at birth. And so, you know, you usually face them towards you when you're a nurse so that they're all directly looking at you. That's part of skin to skin too. Like dad should have them chest to chest or you know, stomach to stomach so that baby is right against them. And so I'm holding little man here and he's sound asleep, like just zonked. And he's facing me, of course, like, you know, how he wants to because, you know, he likes to be chest to chest. And she's trying to explain how to rotate baby so that it's in the right position to breastfeeding. And she's like, right there. So this position right here is exactly right. Now, I wasn't feeding him. He was just laying on my chest sleeping. But I was like, ooh. She's like, that's the position you want because that brings baby to chest. That brings him close. He can feel your heartbeat. He can, you know, relate to your...
Well, good. After 7 kids, apparently you got it right.
Apparently I figured it out. So yes, I did get called out.
Oh, that was a bad thing. Like, you know.
No. And Swedish Compass, and I always use a cover, which was kind of weird because the other mom didn't wear a cover at all. But Swedish Compass was a little like, I want to say a little judgmental of the other mom because she was like, baby would just lay there and cry, and it was really cold in the room, and she would undress the baby and just let him lay there like without clothes on, when she did respond to the baby, she wasn't like very like not very gentle or anything. And Swedish Compass was like, I don't understand, and I'm like, and I'm just from my observations, like I think she's fighting some postpartum depression, and I think this is her way of like bringing herself out of it and like trying to get into something new and like get herself out and around people, and like that is very much what it appeared to me. But yeah, so Swedish Compass was like, well, it's not working. I'm like,
Nice.
it takes time.
Nice.
So she was a little bit of a like, I don't think this is gonna work.
Judgmental,
Little judgmental, but not in the like she's a bad mom. More like there's something not right here. And it was like I kind of watched the whole week or the whole few days, and I was like, like there are no glaring signs, like no huge glaring signs. So I would say it's more like just that like need to be, you know, out and among people and stuff. So
Gotcha.
but yeah, it was drastic, we'll say that way. So and little man was very, very frustrated because I do not do well with baby dolls. I found out that the baby dolls are all smaller than our children at birth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not very easy to like try to model like how you're supposed to like feed them when the baby is like smaller than like any of ours have ever been. So I was like, I was showing by rotating him around in the different positions, and he was getting so mad. Like, I know what this position means, so feed me.
Right, I want to eat.
But so yeah, it was definitely an interesting class. I think there were the last activity I think was kind of silly, but
The building the placenta.
yeah, no, it wasn't just building the placenta. The placenta came mostly built,
Oh.
but you had to use the beading. Yeah, you had to make the umbilical cord and do the beading, and it's supposed to be like a prop for teaching. And I guess I didn't realize that a lot of people didn't know that there was a placenta and that you had to deliver the placenta. But I guess it was actually a very prominent misunderstanding that most people don't understand that.
Gotcha.
So one of the teaching tools is to, and that size is actually supposed to be about the size of a placenta.
Small placenta that I've seen.
That's what I said, and they said that that's actually the average size.
That's why you have fat kids.
That's probably why I have big kids, yeah. Because
I did find out. I was reading through the documentation from the state of Michigan. Do you know if you want to go ahead and do some placenta art, use the placenta to make some art projects with it, you can actually charge separately for that?
wow. Well, that makes sense because we had a whole big section on how to dry the placenta and preserve it. And
That's nasty. That's
yeah. And I didn't know this. This is actually really interesting. Because I always thought if you didn't like cut the cord right away, the baby would bleed to death.
no.
And no, they don't. And
There's a hot debate going on right now in the delivery EMS and pre-hospital, post-hospital
yeah.
care for them. When do you cut the cord?
yeah, well, there's actually like a couple. Like I guess, one of the women in the class, like she waited 24 hours almost before they cut the cord.
That's dumb.
I was like, that's interesting because I thought the blood continued to flow. But I guess traditionally, if you don't cut the cord right away and you let the blood continue to flow, it will actually clot fat like there. And so when you do cut the cord, it falls off like in 3 to 5 days. Like the cord heals faster.
Yeah,
Which sounds awesome if you didn't have to tote around a baby with a placenta attached. Because I can't imagine what would happen if it broke. Or if somebody pulled on the cord and it...
Well, I mean, if you think about it, most animals don't cut the cord.
It just falls
off, or they chew it off eventually. Or
Yeah.
But yeah, in EMS or in hospital even, there's a huge debate as to how long do you wait before you cut the cord.
Well, it used to be, yeah, delayed cord clamping used to be you wait 30 seconds, and
Or it
then
would be
delayed
up to
cord
5
clamp.
to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it changed to a minute, and then 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes, and then an hour, and
But then a lot of docs have been finding problems with waiting that long.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because technically, if you raise the baby above the mom, you are now draining blood back into the placenta.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, you deliver the placenta, and then you just keep the placenta.
It's a
with the
whole
baby.
thing.
It's weird.
A whole
It's
thing.
weird. But then there's like some herbs and stuff that they dry with them, and like some people eat them. That wasn't discussed in our training.
It's
'cause that is-
disgusting, but
that's
yeah,
actually
it
not a
does happen.
cultural practice for Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
At least none that we addressed. So yeah, there's a lot there. But so that placenta that we beaded was a 3-hour section of the training.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That was very. I think they could have at least mentioned the Medicaid system a little bit.
Yeah. Even while you beaded.
That would have been that would have been good.
So, and then we made the teas. We made actual herbal teas, which Swedish Compass is all gangbuster about.
I bet.
She really wants to do the herbal teas, but only because she loves herbal tea, and it's something that she's like, we could sell these at farmers market. We could do. And I'm like, well, yeah, you could, but there was no like real great explanation on like which herbs you use and why.
Not surprised.
Although I did learn something, and I've never heard this before. Maybe you have. Did you know that the natives in in this area?
You can say UP. It's
In the
UP
UP.
Farmers, the channel.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure people know we live in
So
the UP.
natives in the UP, I never heard this before, but did you know that there's actually a traditional medicine called cramp bark?
Okay.
And so if you have like a leg cramp or a foot cramp or whatever, it actually like really helps with all cramps. And that was one of the warnings actually we were given, is not to give it to a postpartum mom for the most part.
I can
Like,
see that. Yeah.
unless you absolutely have to, like if they're in such excruciating pain, they need a little bit of relief. But like if you're attending a home birth and they want some relief, not to use that in general, because you want the cramping to tighten the uterus, of
So
course.
I see one little problem with your training. Hopefully you kept all the materials you can. Because if you're not supposed to medically treat,
Why
but
are we
then you're
learning
giving the
teas and-
teas is a medical treatment.
Because teas are not considered medical treatment if they're herbal.
Oh, but they are, Trebek.
And that was where I was like, this is interesting, because we're not medically trained, so we're not doing medical treatments, which means we can't give medications. But we also spent a good solid, I think, hour on learning how to do naloxone and Narcan, which is a medical treatment.
But that's what a layperson can
That's
do.
that falls
But-
into Good Samaritan.
But, well, kinda. There's a huge...
It's actually listed
There's
now.
a huge date. There's still a debate going on about that one, but
So yeah, so we took an hour
Yeah.
long, and actually we took the trainer on naloxone. So technically we can then go out and train people on how to use it, which I don't see how I feel like.
unless they gave you a certificate specifically that says that, I wouldn't.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
our
you're gonna. Okay, nice.
yeah, we
Nice.
are legit getting certificates, and if we want CEs or CEUs, we can get those too.
Very nice.
So, which I think is cool, and I think I definitely want the certificate,
No, yeah.
because, I mean, it wasn't involved training. I got to stab an orange, which I've never done before.
I've done that. Also done on people.
Yeah, I know you have. So that was interesting. But yeah, so it is a little confusing, the whole like you can't medically treat, but here's what you need to.
That's horrifying. Anyone out there? Yes, herbal medicine is still medicine. Like, you need to know indications, contraindications, dosing. You need to know
They
side
kind of take it
effects
as
and,
like if it's a traditional medicine, then it doesn't count as a medicine for this purpose. And like even like the oils and the like, I want to say tinctures. I don't know if that's what they're actually called. But we weren't taught how to make them, because it's kind of assumed that if you're in this community, you already know, or you should find somebody who knows.
I'd avoid the herbal shit as much
Yeah,
as you can.
yeah. Well, like there's nothing wrong with making somebody a cup of Earl Grey. Or like if you do rose hips, like if you have a tea that you just enjoy, but like
There are a handful of teas though that actually can cause contractions. And
raspberry leaf, you want to stay away from that. And so yeah, I feel like that was a little confusing in the training.
yeah, okay, yeah. I can get behind that one.
But it's confusing because you're trying to bridge the gap between culture, which is the teas and the like all of that, and I guess the role in a non-native setting. So in a native setting, this is what you would be doing, and in a non-native setting, so it was curious in that way.
Sounds it.
So, but so yeah, I mean it's nice because we're already Michigan certified, which is something that the Catholic doula program was trying to do for us, but they're not local. So they were actually adding to their program to ensure that we could finish it and get Michigan.
I want to drop her an email, be like, not needed.
I will actually, and
she was working really hard on that.
She was. So we won't need Michigan certification. So we'll take care of that. But I almost don't want to because she's really big on going through how to make this your like business, what you need to do to like.
Oh, I mean, still complete the training. And
no, but she was actually doing the research for how to do
Michigan.
it in Michigan.
I see.
And like that would be a way to learn it. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Swedish Compass is super stoked that she finished it. We don't have her certificates yet.
Don't have her certificates.
We have to wait until those come in the mail before we can move.
Now, are you willing to like drive home with this, or is something we should take baby steps with?
What do you mean drive home with this?
Like, if you get your certificate on Monday, you want to start your business on August 1?
I don't know. Honestly, some of it would be hard to do with little man. But some of it, like, and Swedish Compass was like, well, I could handle, 20, 30, 10, I don't know how many I could take. I could only take one client. Like, you do understand that it's 6 appointments, so even if you do 1 hour with a client, which you only have to do, I guess, 20 minutes.
20 minutes is the minimum.
So if you do 1 hour with a client, that is 6 hours, because you can't go past those 6 appointments. At least not in charge most of the insurances. So you do 6 hours there, and then you can set how many hours you're willing to be in the labor and delivery unit. So even if you do 8 hours or 10 hours there, you're only working,
The equivalent of 2 working days.
Yeah, basically like 12 to 16 hours. So yeah, you're actually not working that month, and that's over the course of potentially 8 to 10 months, right? So like that's pretty spread out for what you're doing,
right? Well, especially you do some of it telehealth wise too.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm curious how that's like. It sounds like it would be. It sounds like it would take a lot of time and investment, but really, when you look at it in the actual hours of spending time doing it, it's really not that much per client.
No, the biggest expense is going to be the insurance. You have to have multiple different types of insurance to just be able to bill.
Yeah. Well, to build private insurances.
Medicaid too.
Yeah.
That's not private. That's public.
But if the person pays independently of their insurance,
I doubt you're going to have any that do that.
I don't know. There is a huge I guess attraction to having doulas. I guess so they're intended for communities that are low income, but what they're finding is that a lot of upper class are hiring doulas for like the it's kind of the opposite of a stigma actually, to have that
Well, just to have that support.
Well, to have that support, but also to say, oh, yes, I did this with a doula.
Gotcha, the prestige.
The prestige. So they're hiring doulas more for prestige than for, what they were intended for, which was lower income, people who maybe didn't have a support person or didn't understand. So actually, a lot of clients are paying cash because they don't want an insurance-based doula. Yeah.
Well, and definitely, I think once you get your Catholic doula, you set up an interview with a Catholic newspaper.
Yeah. Swedish Compass really wants to work with the pregnancy services.
Mm-hmm. Well, guess who likes writing articles about them?
Right. So yeah, and I don't know. I don't know how much the insurance would be. I haven't gotten
I
that
haven't looked
far
into that.
looking into it.
I know that's a pain in the rumpus to find even. So.
That is the next step, is to start looking for insurance, which we had looked for that before we get our certificates in the mail. But I think once we get our certificates, it is going to be a. I think then I'll look what we done. We did a thing.
I'm just saying, I'm curious how quickly you guys want to get a turnaround on this.
Well, and I think she's registering us with the state, and if that's what she's doing, then it could take 1 to 3 weeks before we get our certificate.
So my understanding is she will not.
No.
No. Because it is our responsibility
To register with the insurance.
No. To register with the state.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because as long as you've done it through a Michigan approved program, you then have to register with the state.
Oh, okay.
So I highly doubt she does, because there's a lot of very specific things that she would not have access to register. Now, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I thought for sure she said she was going to register, but maybe what she meant was she was going to get us the registration paperwork and the
think-
numbers and the... Because
my-
each class, I think, probably has to have a number, like, assigned to it.
Yeah, my guess is more she's going to file her course completion certificate with the state.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a certificate, but before you're actually quote-unquote licensed, you then... Because that was the same with my EMS license even. They didn't register me with the state. They sent me a certificate saying, yes, I had met the standards, and then I had to physically go license myself.
True, but it isn't treated as a medical license.
It's, okay, maybe license is a bad word. Maybe recognition.
Certification. So I don't know how it's gonna. I don't know how that'll work. And unfortunately, we were not given much information. So I'll give it a couple of days and then message her.
Well,
But
luckily, your husband's been through the
it's
state
been a
processes.
long train.
Parts, yeah.
It was a long week. So.
Well, anyway, we're going on 50 minutes here. My battery's almost dead. I'm at 35%. So, any other little factoids? I guess stay tuned. We're gonna probably make this into a series as we walk through the
whole process.
pain in the ass process.
We
that I'm
did the
sure this will
first
be.
step.
You got
We
the
did
first
finish
step.
that course, and
Yeah,
I
the
don't
first
think
step.
I don't think Swedish Compass for sure is going to want to look at taking clients until she finishes the second. Maybe I could start before because
Well, you kind of read through the information more than she has. And
yeah. Well, and I already just have a lot of experience with most of that information.
About first-hand knowledge.
Firsthand, but also just research that I
Yeah.
did throughout the course of, 6,
So
7.
stay tuned. We're throwing around some names and business structures and all that good stuff. So stay tuned. I'm sure we're going to have an update video here hopefully soon, talking about the next steps we're going to take and where we're going from there. So anyway, folks, I'm going to go enjoy the last little dregs of my cigar. You can't even see the video. Sad.
You can see the fire.
You can see the fire, though. It's a beautiful fire. It's dying down. So, yeah. Anyway, folks, stay tuned. We are going to have more information about this dual processing, and hopefully we can have a bigger celebration when we officially put up, what do they call that, a placard or
Yeah, placard.
it's not a placard. What do they call those when you put a sign on a door?
I don't know.
I think it's placard for some reason.
Placard makes sense. A sign.
A sign when we finally flip on the open sign. So,
Flip on the open sign, yeah.
all right, folks.
When we make the t-shirts.
We make the t-shirts. We make the shirts. Get the uniforms together. But anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more updates. Stay safe out there. See you on the next one.